Welcome to episode 59 of Tools in the Hall. After dark. So we're going to start with some Gearwrench stuff. We're going to move on to a bunch of Milwaukee stuff and then some cool firearms that I promise you have not seen before. So let's dig right in. The 84-piece Master Hex and Torx bit socket set from Gearwrench is perhaps the best value you're going to find for this type of set. Blue Point has had a set for many years and is a very good set, very comparable in the variety of sockets that are in it, but not at all comparable in cost. That one is well over $400. This one has been now and has stayed at $235 on my truck for a long time. So find it someplace cheaper even, because I'm a tool truck, so my stuff is going to be more expensive than your average retailer will sell this for. So you can get really good deals on this. If you need the part number, it's 80742. It has short Torx, tamper-proof Torx, hex, and it has long hex and Torx bits, and also a whole set of external Torx sockets. And for the price, it's even on the tool truck, you can't beat what's in this set. Everything in here, lifetime warranty. And when folks see this and they find out what the price is and they do a little comparison, this set always wins out over the Blue Point ones. It was kind of funny because years ago, I was jealous that only Snap-on was selling a Blue Point set like that, and no one else seemed to have one. And then lo and behold, Gearwrench comes out with this thing, and that changed a lot for me because I sell a ton of these sets. I got a few in now because they're on sale and I can keep the price down. They were as high as I think $260 or $280 a few years ago, but for some reason this is one of those things that seems to be immune from the recession and the inflation and the COVID stuff, and the price has stayed very nice on this on my truck anyway, $235. Continuing with Gearwrench, this is a 12mm gearbox wrench from Gearwrench with a flex head with a ratcheting box end and then a fixed box end with an offset. I'm sorry, this is in the package, can't see it. I can't always take stuff out of the package because this is merchandise that's going to my customers, so I can't always just take it out of the package and show you, because it has to be in the best possible condition it's going to be when they get it. So this is the long-handled wrenches that they had now for a while. Glad they came out with them because they've been terrific sellers. The whole set of these goes 8 to 19 mil, and then you can buy larger sizes that go up to 25 millimeter. And they have a flex head version, which is this one here, and a non-flex head version. I'm replacing a broken flex head version of this under warranty, and Gearwrench's warranties are comprehensive, very easy to get them taken care of. I like dealing with these a lot because these wrenches are great sellers. I'm replacing a quarter drive flex head 120 XP ratchet in inventory. These little guys are great sellers. They're fine tooth because of the 120 positions, which means they have a 3-degree swing arc on them before they grab a tooth. So they're great for confined spaces, but they're not weak like you might think a 120 tooth gear is, because they don't have 120 tooth gears in these. They have 60 tooth gears and 2 offset pawls that engage the gear for 120 positions. Very smart design, strong design. I don't see many of these break at all. Usually the ones I see break are the older 84 tooth models. For some reason I see low breakage on the 120 XPs, and even their new 90 tooth ratchets, low breakage. So I think they have probably improved something metallurgically with them over the past few years, because breakage seems low. If somebody does break them, it's easy enough just to change out the head on the truck and send the customer on their way. And with the smooth feel of the 120 XPs, people like how well they compete against the Snap-on ratchets, and most folks tell me they prefer them over the Cornwell or the Matco ones anyway. I don't see a lot of Mac ratchets in use in the field. The ones I see mostly are Gearwrench, Snap-on, and Matco, and it's tough to get something that feels as good as the Snap-on ratchets do, because I will admit they feel very nice in your hand. The mechanism's very smooth and it has some nice resistance to it. So do these. So if you haven't yet tried a Gearwrench 120 XP ratchet, at least pick one up, turn around in your hands, maybe put a socket on it and try it on a workpiece to see if it's something you'll like working with, because one thing you also want to check on ratchets is the back drag. If Snap-on has one deficiency, it's that the head mechanism is rather tight. So there's a lot of back drag in that. That's after you're done ratcheting, rather while you're ratcheting, is it moving the workpiece or not? And how stiff is that connection in the ratcheting mechanism that it gives up and allows you to ratchet back cleanly before you re-engage. A lighter back drag means that it releases earlier, and a heavier back drag means that it doesn't. So with a heavy back drag, what you're doing is you're moving your workpiece in both directions because you're not engaging the ratchet mechanism because there's too much resistance within the mechanism itself. That's an important consideration that some folks overlook with ratchets. So not only do you have to see how it looks and feels, how well do you think it'll work in the confinement of the areas that you normally work in, also check that back drag and see if it's something that works for you. Last on the Gearwrench list is the 8-piece Bolt Biter extractor sockets. I have shown these to you a lot. They sell regularly, and I like how these compete against any other brand of extractor socket. They're less expensive, way less expensive than Irwin. They're less expensive than the Grip Edge ones, who make the RBRT sockets from Mac, and they work very, very well. They have straight fluting in them, unlike the other, well, I know the Irwin ones are spiral fluted, so you can only use those to turn something to the left. Because these are straight, you can use them in both directions, which means you can extract a left-handed thread, but you can also reinstall a right-handed thread if you had to reuse a broken bolt. They have a hex bolster at the base. They have you can't see the bottom seconds in the package. They have 1/4 and 3/8 drive holes on the bottom, so you can use them with your ratchets or your impact tools, because these are impact rated and they come on a plastic clip. They also have minus sizes, so that if you're working with a bolt head that's been rounded off and is too small for one size to fit, they have a minus size socket of the same size that's just slightly smaller, so that will fit if the regular size won't. So for example, there's a 10 millimeter and a 10 millimeter minus, and a 13 millimeter, 13 millimeter minus, and all up and down the line. They've got a large 28-piece master set that's got every size, including minus sizes for every socket. Very handy. And I don't know of anybody else that's making something like that. I think they've got a unique design with those size sockets. The difference that I can tell between this and the Grip Edge ones is that Grip Edge has a pusher screw that if you have a workpiece stuck in the socket after you extract it, they have a pusher screw that you can drive through the back and push out the broken workpiece. And that's a really nice feature. But the question is it worth the extra price? You can put this in a vise, take a punch to it, and tap out the workpiece with a hammer that way. So it's not like it's a deal breaker in that the RBRT design is so much better. It just has that additional feature that may not be worth the money to you, or maybe it is. And I know a friend of mine who's a tool man up in New Jersey. Check out Mark Desashin's channel on Mid-Atlantic Tools. And he shows you these and the Grip Edge ones, and he puts them both on the truck and lets his customer choose which ones they like, and he says that they both sell equally well. So check out his channel too, because he does really cool tool hauls, and I learn a lot from him when I see the stuff that he's putting on his truck, and it gets me to think about stuff that I come on my truck, and he gives me good advice, and I really enjoy talking with him because he's been around this business a long time, much longer than I have. So I really take his opinions to heart. And Mark, if you're watching, thanks for all the advice and everything you give me over the years, and let's continue to have fun together and get on live streams together, and we do a ton of stuff. So he's a great guy. A lot of good advice. Check his channel out. That's Mid-Atlantic Tools on YouTube. You've seen me mention these when I've shown you the base units for the Power Probe Temp Probe kit, but these were on back order so much. This is the first one I've had in, it's got to be over a year, I think. Power Probe has this temperature probe kit where it's a base unit with one of these probes on the side, and the base unit has a temperature probe in it, and so you can read a temperature just with the base unit. Then it has one of these probes that just latch onto the back. You can take that off, and it has a clip there for AC louvers, and you can just stick that in an AC vent in a car, get the reading there, look at the reading at the base unit, and measure 2 different zones. Well, you can add a second probe to it, so you can read 3 different temperature zones simultaneously. I just haven't had these on the truck in forever, and I know there's a few guys that have asked me for these, and this is one of, I think, 4 that came in that I'm due to give somebody. I have to see if they still want it, but it's been a long time waiting for these things, so I'm glad that they have finally rolled in the door. Milwaukee stuff. If you know me at all, you know that I'm a rather large Milwaukee fanboy, and for good reason, because they continually impress me with not just the quality of their tools and how long things last and how great they are at standing behind warranties, but they come out with more stuff all the time. Hand tools is another industry that Milwaukee is making a lot of inroads in, and they have been killing it. They've got great hose hook pick sets. They have breaker bars now. They came out with some really cool new ratchets that I'm dying to show you. I have one on the way, and I'm going to throw it in my next tool haul because it deserves its own spotlight. It really is pretty impressive. But they have a tried and true design in ratchets that have been around for years, as well as chrome sockets. And they have here an entire 1/2-inch drive set of sockets, ratchets, and extensions. And this kit here is pretty comprehensive. 47 pieces total, deep and shallow, standard and metric sockets, 4-degree arc swing ratchet, and some extensions. And do they have any adapters? Nope. And what they have as a feature on their sockets is some flats on the sides so that they say it's so it doesn't roll away, but I know for a fact that they do, because I was at a tool show a while back, and the Milwaukee rep is showing me all this stuff, and he says, "Oh, did you see our new sockets?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't see him, no." So he shows them to me, and he says, "They're flats, so they don't roll away." And he puts it down on the table we're sitting at, and the thing starts to roll. Really what it's for is you can grab those flats with a wrench and give yourself some a lower profile if space is tight. And I had a customer order those from me because he was deficient in his 1/2-inch drive collection for stuff that he's keeping at home and in his truck. And the great thing about this kit is the case that it comes in is not that cheap brittle plastic. This feels like, and I don't know what you call the different kinds of plastics, but it feels almost like a rubberized plastic, or it has some substance to it, and it's not going to crack and split and break like you might see in a lower quality set. They have similar sets like this in their pack out modules. This is not a pack out module. This is just the case that folds open to display everything neatly. And I'm stoked to get this to my customer because he asked me what I have for 1/2-inch sets. And the first one I started to look at were the ones from Milwaukee. And I even leapfrogged the ones from Gearwrench and all because the pricing's better on the Milwaukee stuff. I think the quality is just as good. And he doesn't have a need for this where he'll be using it every day to earn a buck. So he doesn't care as much about how the ratchet feels, and he's not that discerning when it comes to needing this kit. So I got him something where perhaps the ratchet does not feel as nice as the nicer Gearwrench ones do, but the sockets are very good quality, the ratchets are solid, and the set should last him a good long time. This is the M18 grinder. This one takes a 4.5-inch cutting wheel, has a 5-year warranty, has a brake stop on it, 5 speeds, and it's equivalent to an 11 amp corded tool. This is the bare tool only kit, and I got that as part of a bundle that I ordered from Milwaukee because they do some really interesting and compelling bundles for dealers that they don't necessarily publicize. And when I can take advantage of those, I do, because it allows me to do a few things, including getting the 1-inch M18 impact. This bad boy's got 2,000 foot-pounds of breakaway torque, comes with 2 12 amp hour batteries and a charger. It is a complete kit with the extended anvil. So there's 3 different versions of the 1/2-inch one. One has a D-ring and a short anvil. One is the same version with a short handle. This is a long anvil version. 2-year warranty on the tool, 3-year warranty on the batteries. Now, there's an interesting story that comes along with this. Let me put it down and I'll tell you. 7.5 years ago, I started this business. And when you establish your routes and your customers, it's very important to make a good first impression. And I went in one shop that I thought would be really good because it was a diesel shop and I really liked the diesel industry, great guys to service, and it was a fairly large shop. And they had, I think, a half a dozen technicians at the time. And when I walked in the shop, I was asking the guys if they could point me in the direction of the manager or the owner, because that's who I always want to see when I'm first making a cold call. And they pointed him out to me. And I saw him working away. I think he had a die grinder and he's doing some surface conditioning on something. I walked over to him and I'm trying to maintain a respectful distance and I want to wave high and get his attention. But he will not look up. And I was pretty sure he saw me out of the corner of his eye. Would not give me the time of day. And when he was, I patiently waited. And when he was done working, I said, hi. And he glanced up at me and glanced back down at his work. Not a good first impression for me. And I went back to the shop a couple of times. And as I talked to some of the guys in the shop, they said, he's going to be tough to talk to. And, we're not really that into buying tools. And I took the hint and I never went back until 6 years later when a good customer and friend of mine wound up working there. And he said, hey, you want to come by the shop? And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm happy to go by and see you because you're, my good customer and friend. So sure, I'll go by. I said, what do you think about the other guys in the shop? He goes, I don't know. Just come on by and find out. I was like, all right. So I went by and continued business with this one fellow that I know. And then he introduced me to some of the other guys and we started getting some business going with the other technicians in the shop. But still, the owner of the shop would not give me the time of day. And then another friend of mine started working in that shop. So I had a good customer base there and guys were buying from me and things were going along pretty well. One day I wound up in this small, very small chit-chatty conversation with the owner and a couple of other technicians. I actually felt like I broke some ice there and made some inroads. And if we fast forward now 2 years after that, the owner just ordered that 1-inch impact from me. And the week before this, he bought about $400 worth of stuff off the truck. The week before that, another $300 worth of stuff off the truck. He's a big Milwaukee fan. I helped him out with some warranties prior to that, which I think really made him feel better about working with me. And the next thing you know, he and I are talking like we're old friends, and we have a great relationship now. And he's making some nice larger purchases from me, and I really appreciate that kind of business. And it just goes to show that a little persistence in this business can pay big dividends later on. And if you're a tool guy and you feel like you're kind of up against it in some shops, you don't have to go all the time. And you don't have to knock yourself out to try to make headway if you feel like you can't. But every now and then, some persistence pays off. And if it wasn't for the 2 friends and customers I already had in the shop, I probably still wouldn't be there today. But as luck would have it, it all fell together very nicely. So now I'm doing really nice business in the shop in general and with the owner and with the technicians there. So I'm really happy to be able to forge relationships like that because things are nice and solid when that occurs. And I know that I can count on regular business. I don't know when that business is going to come. Maybe it'll be this week, maybe next, maybe 2 months down the line or whatever. But I know that the business is going to be there. And when guys need something, they will ask me about it. And I really appreciate having that kind of relationship with people because that really is what this business is about. I'm not going to sell something to everybody every week, but I can be a resource to everybody every week. I can answer your questions. I can give you a respite from the shop if you want to get in the truck and share some laughs and just hang out in the air conditioning, or whatever role I have to play for you for that week. I'm happy to do that. And that's what makes this business go around. And that's why I enjoy it so much, because you never really know what's going to happen week to week. But I do know that I always have an opportunity to be helpful. All right, let's do some After Dark. This first one is from Heckler & Koch. This is the MP5 rifle chambered in 22 long rifle. You open the action by sliding this slide back here, and then it locks up in the top. So slide it back, rotate it up, and now you're locked in the open position. You can see the magazine's out, and we are safe. It has a collapsible stock here. You move the collapsible stock by sliding the lock to the side, which is kind of interesting and different. Usually I'm used to just having like a lever and you pull it back and forth. So that first day with the new gun? Yeah, it's my first day with the new gun. So you have your collapsible stock here. You have a very substantial plastic handguard up front and what looks like a suppressor, but it's not. It's just kind of a bull barrel look to it. It has iron peephole sights, and you can turn the sight in the back, and it has 4 different size orifices for different distances, and then a pin sight in the front. You can see the pin up there. A customer asked me for this specifically. He said, I gotta have it. And I'm like, well, okay, we'll get it for you. He just wants I think it's a cool plinking gun. I will be honest with you that I do not think this is the most comfortable gun in the world. It's an awkward position. The stock does not extend out far enough for someone of my stature, and I am not particularly big. I find that this shooting position here is awkward, and the butt of the stock does not rest nicely in your shoulder where you'd like it. It kind of rides up onto your arm. And it comes with a magazine that has one cool feature in it, and that is it has a spring-loaded follower with an assist built in. So you have on both sides these finger grips, and you pull this down and then just slide in your rounds of ammunition in the top. Great feature. This holds about, I don't know, it's 22, about 8,600 rounds. I don't know. It doesn't even tell me what the capacity is in the manual. But, you know, this loads in pretty nicely. It's got a magazine release lever right here, and you pull that and pull the magazine out. So it's very easy to extract the magazine. I do like that feature a lot. And this is something that, you know, when a customer gets their mind on something that they want, and this fella here is a collector, he'll look for something that's unique and different. I'm happy to accommodate. I'm more of a practical shooter in that I don't necessarily want whatever I think looks cool. I'm just in it for something that functions well, and I'll get guns that I will use for a particular purpose, whether it be home defense or personal defense and carry and all the rest of it. So I would not be a guy who's in the market for this myself. I just think it's really cool to talk with the people who are, because you get some insight as to the kinds of things that motivate people to buy particular guns. And he just saw this thing and he says, man, I gotta have it. So here it is. And I'll be delivering this by the time this video goes up, this will be delivered to him already, but I'm shooting this on a Saturday night. He'll probably get it sometime during the following week. And if you thought this was weird, just wait. I don't know that I can show you a more confusing gun than this Defender from Masterpiece Arms. It's boxy, to say the least. It is heavy. It is awkward. The grip is far too large for an average size hand. It has this rub point right here on the trigger guard with your finger that makes Glocks look comfortable. It has a combat style trigger for both your both your hands, but that's like a strangely short distance to cover with one hand. And it has this thing on it, which is not a suppressor, but they make it look like one. The whole thing looks like a Mac 10, but it's a 9mm pistol that has this bizarre action here where you rack it using this piece on the top, and you can open the action that way, and there's no way to actually lock the action open, even with the magazine in it. It's weird. It has these very strange sights on it. I don't really know how to explain them. You take a look. I don't know. This is a bizarre gun, not comfortable at all. It's just got this whole weirdness to it back here. It rests awkwardly on your thumb back here, and it comes with this is the magazine. What is that, a 30 rounder for 9mm? I mean, man. So you load this guy in here, and now you've got all this happening. And as it is, the gun's heavy. Imagine loading it full of 30 rounds of 9mm. Trying to hold this thing with two hands is redonkulous. It's really heavy and bizarre and awkward. To release a magazine, like on the H&K rifle I showed you, has a lever right there. Pull the magazine out, and there you have it. Now, this was funny because I was talking to a customer about this, and he says, like the customer with the rifle I just showed you, he said, "Oh, I gotta have this gun." I'm like, "Nope, okay, we'll get it for you." And when I go to order it from my distributor, this is the only one that they listed as having in stock. So I put the order in, and then 2 days later, I'm talking with another customer, and he says, "Oh, I'm sure this gun I gotta have." Scrolls on his phone, says, "This one here," and he shows me a picture of the Masterpiece Arms Defender. I'm like, wow, what is it with that gun? And I told him the story about this other fellow. And he says, "I don't know, man. There's something about it. I want to have them." I'm like, well, okay, let's see what we can do for you. Right now, they're out of stock on them, but it's on his next list of guns to get. So we're going to keep his wish list rolling and get these guys what they want. I just think that they're fun for collectors. This is not at all practical for any reason at all. You would not, I mean, it's not a carry gun. Stick that thing in your pants. You can't. It's not a good home defense gun. It's strictly one that you get if you just want to go to the range and blast off a bunch of rounds and just have a ton of fun, and you want to do some really cool plinking with that rifle. These guns hit you here, right? They're the ones that you just want to have. There's something about them that you may not be able to put your finger on, but man, you see it and you want it. And that's what I love about the gun business, is that you accommodate people's desires and their needs. Some are eminently practical like I am, and then others are just fanciful and they already own more guns than they know what to do with, but they just keep wanting to own stuff because they love collecting and they love looking at unique things or something that's new to the market. And when something like this comes out, it gets people right in the feels, and they've got to have it for one reason or another. And I thought it was a funny coincidence that within just a couple of days, I had 2 different people asking me for this same gun. So you may see it again on a tool haul in the near future, assuming it comes back in stock in a timely manner. My customer still wants it. So it wasn't a long tool haul, but it sure had some new and interesting things in it, and hopefully some good stories in there for you. So keep watching the channel, because coming down the line, I've got all kinds of stuff, including some new business-related news regarding our glove business. I'll give you some updates on that when there's something fun to tell you, and I know there will be very soon. And, of course, our Tools in the Hall segments and our air tool repair videos. And I'm going to be introducing a brand new product that we are making in-house. And I'm going to be stoked to show you that probably another week or 2. So please stay tuned for that, and click down here now to subscribe so that you don't miss any of it. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, use a tool. Don't be one.